I was able to make better AFK farms using the new keybind change. Hello there, Ray here, and let's start out with the simple version. This can easily be done by digging down 3 blocks in 2 different places, then removing 2 blocks off to the side, then placing in a double chest with a hopper pointing into it, then a normal rail on top with a hopper minecart on it, then place a sturdy block right here. Now with the coarse dirt put into your offhand, with your main hand holding a diamond or netherite shovel that has no efficiency, you can easily convert the coarse dirt back into normal dirt, with all the items neatly being collected down in the chest below. But before we use the new keybind change, it'll work better if we add in a bit more automation. We're going to have a crafter that will be automatically converting dirt as well as gravel into coarse dirt. And then we're going to turn this crafter into a simple automatic crafter, which is one of the designs that I showed in my video where you can make an auto crafter for every single recipe in the game of Minecraft. Then we'll have hoppers on both sides that will feed in more gravel and dirt, with comparators on the back sides of those that are both toggled to subtraction mode, then blocks in front of those and redstone dust, which will push their power into another block that will go into this repeater on full and then into 2 redstone dust, so we can make an unlimited amount of dirt. And this smart automatic crafter will continue to craft until it runs out of items, but will never lose the initial recipe layout that's inside the crafter. Now with it cranking out tons of coarse dirt, all we have to do is fill up our inventory so that all the items on the ground will only get picked up by the offhand if there is room in it. And now when we start converting, you can see it automatically refills the offhand so we can AFK even longer. But to prevent the items from flying all over the place, we're going to place some blocks around it with a wooden pressure plate in the middle. This will make it so that the auto crafter won't keep producing items if I haven't picked them all up yet, as the pressure plate will lock the adjacent crafter block. So now when I AFK, it will only produce more when I need it. Now the final touch is to make the system only throw out items when the player is there, which we can do with just a little bit of redstone. Now when you finish and pick up the last item, it won't keep throwing out more. So we're now ready to run the machine at full speed. We're just going to put in some extra storage here so we can put in more dirt as well as more gravel, so we can AFK even longer. If we really wanted to, we could even take the new dirt that we just produced and pipe it back up to the dirt that's going into the top chest, as every time it goes through the system, it will double the amount of dirt at the cost of needing some gravel, which you can hook up with your piglin bartering system in order to get tons of gravel, or you can just use my simple sand generator, which will produce you an infinite amount of gravel. Now speaking of the falling block duper, this thing is actually useful for also breaking down the blocks. As long as you have the actual duper chunk loaded properly, I'm using the ender pearls, but use whatever chunk loader works in your version. You guys can check those all out with my playlist here. And if anything changes in my past videos, I do update their description, so make sure to check it for the latest information. So not only is this thing duplicating gravel, but it's also updating the platform on the opposite side, so any blocks that are placed here will automatically be broken down into the item form. This allows you to do a lot of automatic mining without even needing the player, and since the block that we place down we need to eventually mine up again, instead of wasting our shovel, we could choose just to have the platform break it down. So I made another little machine that will help you automatically do this, where the player will sit here AFK and will place down the block, and then after placing it, they will automatically turn it into a path block, and then it will break down, and once it's broken by the platform, it will turn it into dirt. So you could just sit here and hold right click and not even use the shovel for the breaking, which would save on some durability. And then when the dirt gets broken down, it's going to get picked up by this hopper minecart, which I just placed in here before the obsidian regenerated. And then all the items are being moved over here and pushed into the auto crafter, which is taking the dirt that we just made and using it to make more coarse dirt. And the other side being the gravel, which we have an infinite source coming from our gravel generator that is just dropping over here onto this button, which breaks it into item form, with the excess being collected in this chest here. This way we get an infinite amount of gravel, then we can use that infinite amount of gravel to make an infinite amount of dirt, and then we can use that dirt to produce even more dirt. So with this entire system, it's actually a dirt farm. But the problem is not everybody has access to the obsidian platform, especially when there's so many cool farms you can place on this thing. You don't really want to maybe waste it for a dirt farm. But let's go back to my simpler version and drop a like on the video while you're at it. Now, even though we automated everything as much as possible on the redstone side, we still need the player in order to convert the coarse dirt into dirt. So let's see how automated we can get the player's actions to be. Now in the past, you would have to hold down right click as well as the left click in order to place the block and then convert it and also break it down for the next block. And this can be AFK, starting by holding down right click and then shortly after holding down the left click. If you do it properly, you can automatically do this, but then you have to sit there and actually hold both of the buttons. Now you can automate it a bit more by first holding down the 2 buttons and then holding down F3, then tapping T, and then once this pops up, releasing both mouse buttons. This will make the game think that you still have those buttons held down, and you can remove your hand from the mouse, and now it's automatic where your player will automatically place as well as convert it and then mine it up into items. And from here you can tab over to another window and work on something else on your computer, and your player will continue to work in the farm. And then to stop it, just tap the right and left mouse button. But with the changes that came in 1.21.8, we can come over to your controls and we can actually decide to have buttons held down without having to do the F3 and T trick. So we can just convert the tack instead of having to hold it. We can click it to toggle. Same thing for the U's. We can switch this one to toggle. And now all we have to do is tap the right one, then the left one. And now it will automatically place in mine without us having to hold any buttons and without having to do F3 and T. And then once again, to turn it off, just tap both of them and you can always come back in controls to turn it back to normal again. But we can take this one step further with the new keybind changes, where multiple actions can be done with a single key now. So that means you can actually make your mouse attack button use the right click, but also make the key for placing blocks also be the right click. But both of them are using the same key. And now if we go ahead and try it, just by holding down right click, you can see it automatically going to be placing and breaking by holding down one button. Or you can take it one step further by turning on the toggles. Now all you do is have to tap the bottom mouse button and your player will automatically do the entire thing. And then once again, to stop, just tap it again. The only annoying part is that you do have to come in here and change your controls before you start working on something else. Make sure to change your keybinds back. Now you can put enchantments like unbreaking to make it last longer, as well as mending to repair your tools. You just can't put efficiency, otherwise you will instant mine it and it won't switch between breaking and placing. With Netherite and Unbreaking 3, you can AFK for almost a half hour before you'll need to repair your shovel. Or you could just attach a XP source onto this farm as well. With this, you can produce 8,300 dirt per hour. But with a slightly more complicated farm, we can go beyond dirt. While I load up the second design, remember you can see exactly how I design each of my farm's machines with my archive live streams on my second channel. So the keybind change can also work in an automatic mud converting farm. Here I'm placing in the coarse dirt, and then I'm having some dispensers that are dispensing water bottles onto them to turn the coarse dirt into mud. And then I'm mining it down and it's getting picked up and stored away in this chest down here. And once in a while a coarse dirt will be broken without being converted to mud, and its corresponding water bottle will end up down here. But the majority of the time you can easily get tons of mud while being AFK. It has the same auto crafter for the coarse dirt over here. And over here, I had to put in a little bit more redstone and some water lines to transport the empty glass bottles down and then fill them back up with some water and pipe them back up here into the storage. And there's also an observer on the backside, which is detecting the blocks being placed in. And this is coming over and powering both dispensers with a little bit of delay. That way they both take turns converting the coarse dirt into mud. It's the same speed as a dirt farm, and if you want to build it, I'll provide the world download as well as the schematic down in the description. I've also made a farm for every item in the game of Minecraft, which you can see in this playlist here. I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye!